My name is Seraphina, the Masked Lady. I was once human. Since then, I have lived many lives. I have been loved and reviled, adored and despised, been the child of a poor prostitute and a courtesan revered by thousands. When I was a child, a stranger with no face offered me the ability to move between the worlds. Since then, my every death has led to a new life. I once had a true love. He was ripped away from me when I was murdered in the 18th century. I search for him still. In the meantime, I walk in the shadows behind the universe, visiting realms both exquisite and terrible and bringing back stories and rhymes to amaze the mind and enchant the ear. Through my YouTube channel, I send the stories out into the world, hoping that my true love will hear them and reply. Hoping, if he does not, that I will find in the other souls who listen kindred spirits to help ease the pain. What of you, stranger? Did you come here tonight seeking a mystery? Do you hunger for a spark of excitement, for the dark thrill of fear? Will you listen as my tales unfold, knowing that some may very well take on lives of their own? Consider, stranger, whether you have the courage to walk between the worlds with Seraphina, the Masked Lady. Hello, festive friends, and happy Boxing Day. I'm so happy to see you all again. After all the rush and fun of Christmas Day, I am resting at home and enjoying my new fuzzy sheets. I am also missing someone that I love. Kaylee is a kind and beautiful person and the sister of my heart. Usually, we and the rest of my chosen family spend Boxing Day together. Sadly, we haven't been able to do so this year, and I'm missing our giggles and girly film nights. So, in honor of the fantastic person she is, I would like to dedicate this episode to Kaylee. We love you, sis. So, to all my other friends out there, how was your Christmas day? What are you up to today? Did you get the gifts you hoped for? Leave me a message and let me know. I can't wait to hear from you. Today's festive episode continues the Christmassy theme with 3 magical poems. In one, we find a reason to be merry. The second contains something scary. And the third shows us that frightening situations aren't always as bad as they seem. Have a happy Christmas week and enjoy. The Christmas Brownstone. The children on the street stare at the brownstone. In summer, it has a neglected air. Dusty curtains huddle across its windows. You could imagine nobody lives there. But every year, sometime in mid-November, a new and wondrous alchemy takes place. At first, a golden light peeks through the shutters. The dull brown curtains are replaced by lace. From within, people hear toing and froing. They pause to guess and ponder what will be. What theme or magic touch is being added to what they call the brownstone Christmas tree? You see, each year, when laughing kids sledge around the busy city speeding through the snow, the curtains part and something bright and resplendent is shown to the shoppers who come and go. Last year, the tree was dressed in pale icicles twinkling with white lights and spangles of snow. Diamond light glinted from bright crystal pendants, and rainbows were struck from the radiant glow. Snowmen sat round its base smiling at children. Above it, stars streamed from the ceiling down. The tree was breathtaking, drawing in dozens, creating smiles out of tired frowns. This year, hundreds have gathered for the opening. Mothers and children hold both breath and hands. Nearby, a choir of small children is singing. Everyone on the pavement understands that something glorious is coming towards them. Then finally, the curtains open wide, and golden radiance floods the wide pavement. All crane forward to see what is inside. This year, the tree is decked in gold entirely. Angels grace every branch with serene smiles. Some play on pipes. Others are cradling children. Some hold shepherd's crooks, bobbing all the while. At the top, Saint Michael is crowned, resplendent. His sword is held up to defend, not harm. His blue eyes glint and glow at the onlookers. His fierceness is offset by his charm. Around the angels, suns, moons, and stars circle. Indeed, it seems a whole new galaxy. has descended to fill the brownstone's window and grace the world with heavenly beauty. The onlookers are silent for a moment, then break into a swell of rapturous joy. From then on, everyone who sees the window thanks God above for his sweet baby boy. The Yule Cat. My mother gave me socks today. Thank God she is no fool. 2 weeks of December have passed, and soon the cat of Yule will stalk the snowy streets of town, rumbling hungrily, seeking those not gifted with clothes to fill his vast belly. The Yule Cat is mountain-like, huge, but he moves shadow quick. He'll pass between the door and jam, for he's wily and slick. He pads his way on velvet paws so that no one may know when he has passed on mud or ice or where he's chanced to go. Nor will they know, those careless folks that do not clothe their kin, that the hungry Yule Cat into their house has slithered in, until they find echoes of screams and eider downs and shreds and notice their beloved young are missing from their beds. How bitterly they must regret that dearth of shirt or tie that, upon a dark Christmas Eve, forced them to say goodbye. Sadly, tears won't replace lost babes or exchange joy for pain. For those who hear the Yule Cat's growl will not return again. So should you visit northern climes in days near Christmas time, while you admire the sparkling snow and ice with patterned rhyme, take heed of the Yule Cat's approach, for those same velvet paws will happily unsheath at night to reveal slashing claws. Whether you will accept my words or if you don't believe, look that you give and receive clothes before next Christmas Eve. Or it may be you who will see the cat's jaws bite and crack, and, though you struggle and protest, you will never come back. An Orphan's Christmas. The orphan children are smiling this evening. The living room of their old house is warm. The fire in the grate crackles merrily. The tree is decked in shining golden charms. Beneath the tree, piles of gifts are standing. Drinks and mince pies await on either side, spread on the oak table that's brightly shining. Chestnuts and chocolate are set out besides. Not long ago, the scene was much less merry. The orphanage was dark and full of drafts. The children did their utmost to be cheerful, but the roof never rang with honest laughs. They knew that their winter would be cold and sad. Those who cared for them tried, but could not do much more than provide basic food and clothing. They could not give what other families do. The kids did what they could with scissors, paper, and crayons the old house to decorate. White paper snowflakes hung in halls and windows, and handmade cards hung on the fire grate. The clothes of the kids were full of rips and holes. Their socks were made from 12 colors of yarn. They forced their hands into gloves indoors and out, to keep chilblains from biting their small palms. The oldest children had to forge through deep snow to chop thin branches to light their small fire. The younger girls and boys coughed as they practiced their carols. They would form a little choir around the village, hoping for a few coins that they could use towards their Christmas feast. A few bits and pieces from the village shop, some chocolates and cordials at the least. The kids were brave, and they had one another. Despite that, the motherless babies knew it would be a lean, difficult December if they could not come up with something new. Then one of the girls remembered she had heard of a well on the nearby rich estate. It was said that dropping something precious into it would a single wish create. Soon, it was agreed they would seek out the well. They'd wish for a warm, happy Christmas time, with joy for every single smiling orphan and no cold, but what gives the mill pond rhyme. But there's a problem. What could they sacrifice? The orphan kids had nothing to their name. Unlike other children with hoards of treasure, not one of them had something they could name as actually precious. Well, almost none. One little boy, Chrisnicle was his name, had a medal passed on from father to son and down to him. When the poor lad felt shame in his worn clothes or in his rude surroundings, he would hold the gold medal to his chest until the medal warmed and comforted him, and he remembered the ways he was blessed. The thought of dropping it into dark water deeply wounded Chrisnickel's gentle heart, but he loved his companions as his siblings, and he knew that their warm spirits would smart if he took away their one hope that Christmas would bring them a glimpse of real happiness. So he set his shoulders and tried to be brave. He told them he would end all their distress. The following day, they sneaked out of lessons, which involved reading lists from dusty books. They headed off in search of the manor house. Nonetheless, as hard as the children looked, they could not find the fabled well of wishing whose waters gave a glorious increase. In all the hope and trappings of the season, in warmth and happiness that would not cease, they searched for hours. Night fell. They were freezing. Still, each of them refused to head for home. They walked and walked through snow and ice and cold wind. At last, they found a low circle of stone, hemmed in by grass at the back of a low field. Chrisnickel, brave, good lad, set his small chin. He peered into the depths of the dark water, then steeling his heart, dropped the metal in. The children watched, waiting for their miracle. They looked and listened, but received nothing. Chrisnickel felt despair rise in his stomach. Soon, his green eyes were fiercely stinging. The tears striped his pink cheeks. He squeezed his fists tight. He bit his lips just to keep from wailing. Why had he cast away his only treasure? Suddenly, a voice roared, "What you doing?" They turned to see an old, grizzled groundskeeper glaring at them. He held an axe of blue above his head as if he meant to chop them. "I've spent a whole hour following you. You're on the property of Lord Richardson. Know the meaning of trespassing, do you?" "Sorry," Chrisnickel said. "We'll go away now. No chance. My Lord Richard will deal with you." What could they do, the kids, but follow the man? They came to a big house of green and white. It was lit up with lanterns and evergreen. In the thick dark, it was a glorious sight. Still, the children could only shake and shiver, wondering what dread fate awaited them at the hands of the man who owned the manor and the magic well that had betrayed them. The groundskeeper hurried them to a cold room where the frightened children were locked inside. The children huddled close to one another, and at least 3 of the smallest ones cried. Chrisnickel tried to comfort them. He promised that whatever price there was, he would pay. He would be sure nobody would harm them and see that they were all sent home to stay. Brave Chrisnickel did not know someone listened to each courageous word he had to say. When visiting, the lord of the manor had seen the orphans' poor home. Now, they had come to play. He wanted to find some way he could help them. He would have asked them outright if he could, but he was sure they'd mistrust his intentions, not thinking he would do anything good. So, he listened to the kids speak of the well and the miracle they had hoped to buy. He heard Chrisnickel bemoan the loss of his only heirloom in their one useless try. A tear came to Lord Richardson's eye when he heard how all the orphans had hoped for joy. How they missed things like food, clothes, bread, and blankets. Not one had even expected a toy. Lord Richardson knew then what he would give them. He listed all the things he had to do. But first, he had to occupy the children until their miracle could be made true. He went to the children, pretending fury, and told them that the cost of trespassing was that they'd have to clean his massive hallway and library till the shelves were shining. Chrisnickel offered to labor in exchange for a week or a month. He would all do if Lord Richardson would let the others go, but his lordship said that just wouldn't do. So, with no option, the children got to work scrubbing the walls, the windows, and the floors. Relieved that at least they weren't being beaten, Richardson even fed them. Thus his flaws did not appear quite so large as they first had. Still, the job was big. It took them all night. The wood and metalwork were shining brightly. Every child was asleep by morning light. When Richardson returned home, his men woke them. They gave the kids porridge to keep them warm. Then released, the group walked to the orphanage. When the kids got home, the place was transformed. The front door, which had swelled with damp and stuck, now opened and closed with fantastic ease. The threadbare hall carpet had been replaced by a thick, soft one, the hue of cranberries. The cracks in the window frames had been filled up, so not a single vagrant draft sneaked through. The banister on the stair had been replaced with a smooth one that shone as if brand new. The children hurried forward to the front room. Rich scarlet curtains clothed the bay window. The bare benches were gone, replaced by soft chairs. Lamps filled the room with a lambent gold glow. A vast evergreen stood in the back corner, decked in glass balls, popcorn, and cranberries. White candles twinkled. Under the old mantel, a fire blazed with great waves of pleasant heat. Beneath the tree were many boxes piled high, wrapped up in colors and in sparkling bows. And from the kitchen came a smell of roasting so exquisite that it made their eyes close. Everywhere in the house, things were much better. In the 2 dormitories, all the beds were covered with the thickest, warmest blankets in colors ranging from pale blue to red. So this Christmas Eve, the orphans are happy, secure, warm, merry, and quite hopeful too. As for Chrisnicle, he's no longer downcast. He's had his miracle and does not rue the loss of his medal. He'll wake tomorrow to find a stocking hung upon his bed. Inside, the medal, polished, bright, and shining, is back in the home that was intended. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the poems. Have an excellent rest of Boxing Day, and remember to hug all the people you love. It's always worth the time.